My guest today is Elias Erber, an incredible talent out of Austria, who's recently secured a gold at the IMMAF World Championships, becoming the first champion for Team Austria in 9 years, almost a whole decade. Elias, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, knowing the typical fight fan, they know the Bellators, they know the UFC. If I say IMMAF to them, they don't know what I'm talking about. Can you explain kind of what IMMAF is and why it's so important for amateurs like yourself?
IMMAF is really I think the biggest amateur organization you can say. It's the most legit World Championships and European Championships. If you become IMMAF World Champion, you're really one of the best amateurs in the world, because it's by far the biggest amateur World Championship when you're talking about MMA. And I think there's nearly no other place that you can get the same high level experience than at IMMAF tournaments, I think.
And I fully agree, especially at the amateur level. Even at the pro level, you're not getting the same challenge that you're getting at IMMAF. The closest is maybe Ultimate Fighter, maybe the PFL season, but you're doing the fights day after day, cutting weight each day. Ultimate Fighter, you fight once every week or two. PFL every 3-4 months. And I thought, for the ones who don't know what IMMAF, that really like pushes it in. Like you're doing that the work every day that you're still in the tournament. And I wanted to kind of give you the credit for that because you've done several. You're not even new to this. So let's talk about your path in the MMA. When did you start training and what made you want to compete?
I started training combat sports when I was about 5-6 years old. I started with judo because sorry, my father is a judo trainer, and from that, me and my two brothers, we started judo very early, and I did that for about 8 years. Then I don't know, I just didn't like it that much anymore, maybe because I did too much in my early years. So I tried everything else I could find. I did a lot of parkour and free running, some crazy shit, and I did ski jumping a few years in Austria and a little bit of soccer. But then someday I saw this little gym in my village, and actually I went there together with my father, and it was a room full of bald-headed guys with beards, but still it was they were very nice to me, and from that point on I liked the sport a lot. I didn't even know that that sport was called MMA, but with the time I started to like it even more, and then I kept doing it, and now I think I was about 17 years old when I started MMA. So the last 4 years I trained a lot, and yeah, I like it a lot.
That's even more impressive because like you're only 21 and you have 23 amateur fights because of things like IMMAF, and just you're not just doing IMMAF either. You're doing regular amateur fights as well.
Yeah.
And you figure 23, that's more fights than some people have between the amateur and pro side. So you're well ahead. And and touching on that too, like, are there plans to go pro soon, or are you okay kind of building up at the amateur level still?
Yeah, I definitely want to go pro, but I still want to do the European Championships that are in 5 weeks in Belgrade, and then I'm going to have to talk to my coach, but I think early 2025 I want to give my pro debut.
Kind of leading into my next question too. Next up is the European Championships, end of March. An event that you took silver in last year, so like you've already medaled there.
Yeah.
And then you came after that, you went and you got the gold at the World. So has anything changed approaching the European Championship again after winning the Worlds?
Not really much. Obviously, I have now a lot more confidence going into the European Championships, But the last time I competed, this was in the juniors. So yeah, I definitely want to get the gold, because the silver medal is good, but if you lose your last match, it doesn't feel good. It still doesn't feel good. So after winning the World Championships, I think I have to win the European Championships as well. So
That's awesome. And for those again who have never even heard of IMMAF, like championships go on to have great careers too. You have Fiora Mano, she was a medalist. Muhammad Makalev, he was a medalist. So like these people, like those are names people know because one's in a main event next month and the other is on the cusp of going to a main event. But I watch everyone's interviews. So I caught an interview that you just did with Combat Sports UK. Love the guys over there. And not only are you training hard, you're in school too. Like you're studying as well. Did anyone like push you to also go back to stay in school, or is that like your own safety plan in case things don't work out?
Of course, my parents want to have a second plan as well, but I think I could do sports only as well. But I think for now it's not that complicated to study at the same time as training. So I think it's good to have a second plan, because you never know what's going to happen. But I'm definitely sports first and then studying second. But I definitely want to finish my I don't know what's the word, but I want to finish my my uni, and the end goal is definitely to become a famous MMA fighter. But it's always good to have a second plan, I think.
I completely agree. I have friends who have done basketball, friends who have done MMA, and it's a wild sport. One thing can go wrong and you're not doing it anymore. But you clearly have big goals, not only for the amateur career. The IMMAF is going to be another great medal to have on the shelf and on the resume. Eventually going pro, let's just say 2025. Were there any fighters who like modeled any aspects of your game or who you're trying to model your career after?
There are a lot of fighters I look up to, but I definitely want to develop my own style. But fighters I like fighters the most that can do really MMA, that are good striking, are good grappling, are good wrestling. I like fighters that are good at combining all the arts, and fighters you just like to watch, like Charles Oliveira, I like a lot. I like O'Malley. I like Merab. He has also a very nice wrestling style. And yeah.
Charles is a big one. I actually have a pair of his gloves right behind me.
Ah, really?
Yeah. That was a nice little gift that came in the mail the one day.
Nice.
So the one thing that caught me off guard though, and I could have swore there was more. I would start doing the research. There's only one Austrian-born UFC fighter, and that's Alexander Rakic, who returns at UFC 300. It's been proven though, like once you have one or two fighters come and kind of break that initial mold, the sport grows in the region. You look at Ireland, you look at even England at this point. England's another now hub. Is there any? Are you looking to be the next the catalyst to kind of bring the next generation to Austria?
Of course, I hope that I can become one of the first real Austrian fighters to go to the UFC and become UFC champion. I think in a few years there is going to be a lot of changes in Austria, because as of now MMA is still a very unknown sport. A lot of the older people don't even know the sport. So I hope that some things change in the future, and of course would be nice if I could be a big part of that change.
Yeah, because I mean, I was shocked. Like, even expanding outside of it, it's like I said, it's Rakic and a William Ott, and he's still in the regional scenes because he's just picking up fights wherever he can. And just it stood out. I was like, man, like, how do you not have more fighters?
And I think Alexander Rakic now even fights for Serbia, so we don't have guys guys in the UFC or in big promotions, other big promotions. So there's a lot of work to do still.
I want to touch on the real fast because you said that the sport itself in the country is not really known.
No.
Do they just is UFC shown there? I don't know Austria enough to know.
No, not at all. If some fighter, some people, the younger generation, because of social media and that, most of people know MMA, but when you talk about gyms only in Vienna, there are about, I think, 2 or 3 bigger MMA gyms, but in the smaller cities there are, you can be happy if there's even one gym, one MMA gym. So I hope that there is some growth in the near future there, because it's hard. Even if you want to train MMA, if you're in the wrong city, you have to change your whole life to do MMA. So it's hard.
Yeah, see, that's just crazy to me because I'm from Pennsylvania in the States, and just in Philly alone, we have 20 big gyms.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Austria is a beautiful country. You would think, make a tourist destination, have people come in when they're in just Europe as a whole. But I'm gonna pass the mic to you. This is where I like to kind of hand the mic to you. Their sponsors, their supporters, mom, dad, anyone else that you want to kind of give a shout out, and let everyone know why they should watch the IMMAF European Championships as well. The mic's all yours.
If you want to see the highest level of MMA competition, you definitely should watch the IMMAF, because there are I think 32 people in one bracket, and it's only the best of Europe. And yeah, I want to thank my sponsors, Phantom Athletics, and my neighbors, and of course my parents, my biggest supporters, my family. Yeah,
awesome. And I'll link below IMMAF because I want people to actually understand this. I mean, Mark Goddard's like one of the advisors over there. Dan Hardy's an advisor over there. Like, people care. UFC just bought into the IMMAF as well.
Yeah,
Brave is in there. Like, it's such it seems to be the casual fans' worst secret that they don't know about. And this is where,
definitely.
in the US we have the regionals. IMMAF is kind of like the Europe collective. So I'm gonna link all that below. I'm gonna link your socials below too. Everyone,
Thank you.
Give Elias a follow. His career, a lot is riding on him. Austria has 2 fighters, and he's number 2 so far. So, I want to thank you for your time. And best of skill in the tournament.
Thank you.